This came from a session yesterday, which was the pathway to making 100K every single year. And it was very simple. A conversation is constituted by this: 5 minutes or 5 questions, right? I called Free, we're having a conversation, we're having dialogue. She stayed on the phone with me for 5 minutes. That's a conversation. That's a solid conversation. Or we ask 5 questions about the market, about conditions, about a certain area, about time frame. That's a solid conversation. So a great way to think about a conversation is 5 minutes or 5 questions. I think that's a really great way to look at it, because here's what I want everyone on this call to be able to do in 2025. If I am having 100 conversations every single month, what is my percentage to appointment set? Right? If I had 100 conversations, out of those 100 conversations, did I book 20% of those people, 10% of those people? Just like Zillow has all their metrics for us and how we answer the calls, our appointment met, our appointment set, all these metrics, right? You have to understand, well, shit, on an average, when I make 100 calls, I typically make X amount of appointments. From those appointments, I typically have an X amount of appointment met, meaning I set an appointment with Mike on a Tuesday and he shows up, that's 100%, right? Well, if you book all these appointments and your met with rate is way down here, then there's something happening from the time you hang up the phone call to the time you have that appointment scheduled. So what I want this year to be is a year that you really look into your business and say, okay, I know my averages. Everybody needs to know their averages. But if you don't record your calls, if you don't put them in follow-up box, if you don't keep an active list, an active, Excel spreadsheet, I don't care how you do it, you got to be able to look at all these metrics and be like, wow, I have this amount of appointments or conversations, and out of those conversations, I book X amount of appointments. From those appointments, I meet with X amount of people. And based on the amount of people I meet, I write X amount of contracts. And out of those contracts that I write, I close X amount. This is a way to have a predictable business. But if you're just winging it and once in a while, I'm going to make some calls. Oh, I did that one day. We door knocked 2 months ago. I'm farming. You're farming? Really? Yeah, I knocked on doors that last week. Did you do it again? No, I just did it. Okay, that's not a farm. Well, what I'm saying is that if you can calculate your numbers, then you and I, when we do a coaching session, we're going to look at all those. And I promise you, if you have all that data, we'll be able to go right in and pinpoint exactly where we need to improve. Exactly. But if you're not having the conversations, once again, you don't have a body of work, you don't have a body of proof, and you really have no leg to stand on. You really have no leg to stand on. So conversations is everything in this business. And when we get into business planning, I want to break every single thing down so you understand that if I want to hit 180,000 this year, 150, 120, whatever your number is, I'm going to help you get very, very clear on what you guys need to do in order to have those conversations, then understand each and every metric.